Alright, hello everyone, it's Teamrocketdraws here with another Pokemon drawing tutorial. And for this video, guys, we're gonna draw another highly requested Pokemon. I gotta say, one of the most requested from you guys. We're gonna learn how to draw Braixen. So as you guys can see on screen, this is how he or she ends up looking like. So if you guys want to learn how to draw her, then let's get started. I'm also gonna put up a reference right now on screen. That way it's easier for you guys to draw, and at the same time you guys can get all your details. Just keep in mind, guys, that he's not gonna end up, or she's not gonna end up looking like the reference 100%, but we do end up getting pretty close. So we're gonna start out by doing some rough shapes, and then from there on you guys are gonna do your final drawing. So remember to do your line slide. Alright guys, so first of all we're gonna start with this shape right here. Just start off by doing the bottom line, and then just do the on top, just curve it. That's basically gonna be her head, so we're gonna base everything off this. Now that we have that, guys, we're gonna do a line split, like right in the middle, splitting that shape, and then around here we're gonna come up and just curve the line. These are gonna be her ears. Now I'm gonna call it a her because it looks like a her, so I'm sorry if you guys get mad at me at that. I know you guys always comment. Alright, so now that we have that, we're gonna do another smaller line going below that line going across, and then we're just gonna connect it to the edges. There we go. Now that we have that, we're gonna do a base shape of her body. So we're gonna extend these lines on the sides of her head, and these are just gonna help us know how far to do these lines. So we're basically gonna do part of her body, so it's basically the length of the head that we did earlier. Now on the other side, this one, actually I do it the same on this right now, but I change it later on. So just make that right line a little bit longer, guys. Right there is roughly the same length. I do change that in just a little bit, but now that we have that, we could erase these extra lines on the sides. We don't need them no more. I'm not sure when I do that, but I know I erase it and make it a little bit lower. Alright, so now for her ears. So her ears start around here. She's basically a fox, so we're gonna add those fox ears, and both of these should roughly be the same. So just try to start on the same side and make them the same thickness and length overall. Although right now I think the right one's a little bit higher, but once I do my final drawing, I make it a little bit lower. Now that we have that, at the top right there, it gets pretty close to the line, and the bottom it's a little bit further away from the top line, so we could just basically get it really close on top and then start it at the bottom and then just connect it. So like I said before, try to make these the same, the ears. Alright, so this is where I noticed that the body should be a little bit lower on the right side because she's leaning more to the left side. If you guys look at the picture, it's on the right side, but it's her left. So this line should be basically going a little bit lower on the right side, so just extend it like that, and we pretty much have that shape. Alright, so now to extend her these lines right here for her dress. This one's a little bit higher than the right one, and just try to make them come out roughly the same. So her dress is actually around that thickness, so I do that reference line right there. That way I can know how thick it is, and then I can just connect them to the corners right here. So this one's a little bit more round. There we go. So it's kind of like a moon shape, but not a moon shape. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, there we go. So as long as you guys got these shapes like this, then the rest is going to be a little bit easier to add all the details. Alright guys, so now we're going to do a line around here, that far apart from the outside of his or her head. The same thing on this side. So we're trying to mimic the same thing, although right now looking at it, I think the right one I did a little bit higher. And now we're just going to curve it to around here. So just connect the top and then just curve it to the bottom, and we basically got her brow. Alright, so now around here, under that cross where the these two lines meet, we're going to do this oval shape. Right now I think I make it a little bit higher. Later on I make it a little bit lower and a little bit smaller than I have it right here. Alright, so now we're going to do the shape of her tail. So her tail starts around here and then around here. So just extend this line and then just curve at the bottom. I always like starting one side and then the other, and then just basically meeting up in the middle. So right here on the left side, it curves a little bit more, and then it just goes in. So just try to make it as smooth as you can. And just by looking at it right now, guys, it actually looks like a cat or a fox. So there you go. All right, so now we're gonna do one of her legs, this one right here. So if you guys notice, it doesn't go lower than the tail, and it goes a little bit into the moon shape, or her dress, in other words. Alright, so now for one of her hands. This one is extended, and it touches the left side of her body right there. And we're gonna make a rough shape of it first. We're gonna do these two lines, and right here I'm just pointing out that it should roughly be the same thickness. And then this one's not gonna go as far, and then we're just gonna basically go down and then connect it to the top. The other one on this side. So this one's not as long because it's further away from us, so it's gonna look a little bit smaller. And there we go. So this one, the shape is a little bit different. If you guys look at the reference, you guys will see a better idea, or get a better idea of how it should be. Alright, so now to do the other leg, guys. So the other leg should roughly start around here, like I did. I started off at the top of her body, just so I could know that it was gonna meet up well, like it wasn't gonna look weird. So then I do it right here, and if you guys notice, it goes a little bit further than the tail. And then I do this other one, which is basically gonna be the bottom part of her leg, and this one's fairly long. It's maybe a little bit, or maybe I gotta say a little bit shorter than the size of the first leg that we did on the right side. Alright, so now around here we're gonna start off her ears like the fluff, so it basically makes the letter M. There we go. Now the same thing on this side, and just try to make these on the same level on the ear. Like I said, right now looking at it, I think I did the right one a little bit higher, but I fixed that later on. Alright, so now to do the rest of her ear. Starts around here, and it just curves. Look at the reference to get a better idea. The other side starts around here, and then it just follows this shape. The trick about doing these is just try to get them the same length and the same thickness. That's gonna be probably the trickiest part of doing the ears right here. So it starts on the same, roughly on the same area, and then around here. So just try to make these the same thickness, guys. And then it curves down, the same thing, the same length. This one curves. So right now I took my hand off to see how if it was like the same length, and I just curve it in, and I'm looking at the reference to see the shape and the angles that this makes, and then I basically make any changes once I have it. Alright, so just by looking at it right now, I see that the right one's a little bit thicker. I do change that once I do my final drawing. You guys could do that now, or you guys could do later on. Alright, so now for the side hairs on her cheeks, or the hair on her cheek, starts right where the ear is, and it's pretty spiky. The one on top is a lot longer. Same thing on this side. And once again, these should be basically the same length. Right now that I'm doing this one on the right side, it's a little bit longer, but once I do my final drawing, I change it and fix it up, because they're fairly long now that I'm looking at the reference, and I have it right here. These are pretty long. Something that I didn't do, if you guys notice on the reference, the left hairs on her cheek almost touch the top part of her ear. On mine, it's pretty far away. Alright, so now for the eyes, we're gonna just roughly do one of the eyes right here. Same thing on this side. Just try to make them evenly spaced, just like on the other side, and then just try to make them the same size. Now that I'm looking at it, the right one's a little bit bigger than the left one. I do change that once I do my final drawing. It's not a big difference, guys, but for me, like, doing the eyes is the trickiest thing ever. Just trying to make them the same size. Alright, so I do this circle for the highlight. If you guys look at the eyes, it has like a white highlight. I do that first, and then I do this line in the inside for the actual eye, and it just gives it a lot more detail. Alright, so now we're gonna do the fluffs around her, the ones that are coming out of her chest. So this one starts around here. We're gonna start it off around there basically, and then it has this like little line, it loops up, and then there's another one here, and this one's the biggest one, and this one's gonna go up to close to her eye, like it's gonna aim close to her eye. So we could basically do this rough shape of it, and then we could just start adding all the details after. So I know it goes to around there, and it has like a little spike coming out, so we could just add it and follow that rough shape that we did earlier. Another one right here, and it has a third one right here. It gets pretty close to her eye. I might have done it a little bit too close, but like I said, it doesn't have to be like the reference 100%. Alright, so now to do the other side. So there's another one that comes out, and it goes over the arm there. So, and then we can see another spike, the one that's coming out of her other shoulder right there. It has two of them, the second one being a little bit smaller. Alright, so now for the one down here. So there's the bigger one, it has a smaller one around there, and it just connects to there, and then it has this like triangle or this little dip there for the top. Alright, so now to do the dress, the black part of her dress, or the bottom side, we're gonna do this rough line right there. It goes a little bit higher than the knee, and then it does this shape right here. So now we're gonna do another one the same size and the same length, the same thickness. Just try to do these two the same basically, and now we could just follow the second one. So this one goes a lot further than the line on top of her body, and then we could just connect it to around here. Alright, then she has another one sticking out around here, so we could just do that. Same thing on the other side. And then I noticed that she has like one line around there. Same thing on this side, same area. And now we could add the other one sticking out around here. So it's the more details that we start to add, the closer it's starting to look like a Braixen. Another thing that kind of messes the drawing up is the reference line, so we could erase a couple of them. That way it's not that confusing, and at the same time it looks a little bit closer to the reference. Alright, so I started erasing some of these lines. Like I said, the reference lines, for example, that one going down the middle of her face, and same thing where the ears connect, because if you guys look at the reference, they don't connect at all. So that's a line that we could erase. The same thing around here for the ears. I just retouched these, and these like hairs that are sticking out of her cheeks, there's no line there. The same thing going across the bottom of her face where the nose is. So we could erase some of those just to get it looking like the reference a little bit closer. Alright, so this one, guys, this line, or her brow right here, actually connects to the line of her nose, like the yellow part basically, guys. I'll show you guys in a little bit. So we could erase the this is where I erase the nose, and right here I make it big, guys. I make it a little bit smaller later on. But this line that I'm about to do, it starts around her nose, and then it connects to the ears right there, and the brows actually follow that line. So you guys could extend the brows and just follow that line right there. I do that, I don't know if I do it on video or at the end of the or once I do my final drawing, but I do connect that. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, so now that I'm looking at the reference, I know that there's not a line going across right there from the ear on the in between the hairs right here. I'm guessing it's hair coming out of here. So I do erase it, and then I start adding some of these details right there at the tip of the hair. I erase some of those reference lines. Makes it a little bit easier, guys. And just by erasing some of those lines, it's starting to look a little bit closer like Braixen. So right here I'm just going over these lines a little bit, just trying to get the right shape of her face. And now we could add the rest of this part right here, so it just connects to the arm and it just curves up. The same thing right here for where the arm starts. It has this like V shape, and then it curves in on both sides, and it just makes this like M shape right there. So I erased the reference line right there going across her arm from the body. The same thing on the fluff that she has on her chest. I erased that reference line just to make it a little bit clearer. Now I start adding some of her fingers. And now we're gonna do a rough shape of the stick that she uses. If you guys notice, so right here I'm just gonna do it like the same thickness almost, but the bottom part where she's holding it, it's a little bit thicker. So now that I know how the stick is, like where it is and everything, I can start adding some of the details. For example, there's a little piece that sticks out right there, and I could just follow the shape that we did, the rough shape, just to finish it off. So the bottom right here actually makes like this oval shape, and then it just curves a little bit, because the stick is not a perfect line, guys. So if you guys can make like little, oh sorry, I just hit the mic. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. But if you guys do like little like zigzags, not zigzags, but just a rough shape of the line, it's gonna give it a little bit more detail and make it look a little bit better. Alright, so I noticed at the point right there where the fire is, or the point of the stick, is actually, it like curves out into a point. So I do that. And now right here I'm just gonna do like a rough shape of the fire. I recommend that you guys look at the reference to get a better idea of how it should be, and it doesn't have to like be at the same spot as the references. You guys could do your fire anyway, but for drawing reasons and for drawing Braixen, I'm gonna do it as close as I can to the reference, like not detailed, like not really detailed that it looks exactly like the reference, but just close enough that it's similar. I changed that shape later on, guys, once I do my final drawing. I just wanted to add that real quick, just so you guys could get an idea of how it should look like. Alright, so now for her leg right here, she has three toes, so just do 2 lines. And then there's like this other line right there for her leg, or because basically the top of that is her knee. Now I erase some of these reference lines that we did earlier for her dress, just cleaning up the drawing a little bit. And then this line is not completely curved, it goes inward a little bit right there, and then it just connects to this one. And I just work on the shape of the dress a little bit, and then it just curves up right there. So she doesn't have this line going across right there, so we could just erase that and just work on the shape a little bit right here. Just make it work with your drawing. There we go, guys. See, by erasing some of those lines, adding a couple more details, it just completely changes the drawing and makes it look 100 times better, guys. Another thing right there, reference line, erase it, and just work right here on the curves and spikes. We could add her fingers on this hand. Once again, you guys could add 2, because she looking at the reference, she has 3 fingers in total. The same thing on her feet, 3 toes. And we're pretty much done, guys. I don't know anything else that we need to add other than just fixing the drawing and going over it, making any changes that you guys might see. So I recommend that you guys look at the reference, or I'm gonna show my final like outline in just a little bit, but just look at the reference, go over your drawing, guys. If something doesn't look right, now's the best time to change it. Look at the reference and just notice anything that your drawing doesn't have. For example, like since we did a rough sketch at the beginning with shapes, just make sure that that you erase all those reference lines. That way it doesn't like throw off your drawing. So right here I'm just adding a couple of details on the fire, basically like splitting the red and the yellow parts apart. So that one goes over the stick a little bit, and then it curves back inside, and then it just connects around here. So yeah guys, so just like I said, just go over your drawing and make any changes that might make your drawing a little bit better. And if it's something that the reference or my drawing doesn't have, but you guys could like want to make on your sketch or drawing, go for it. You know, it doesn't have to be the same. If there's anything you guys could add to your drawing to make it a million times better, then go ahead. Alright, so basically that's my sketch, guys. So from here on, what I like doing is just basically erasing the whole drawing. Even though I'm erasing, I can still see some of those lines because I'm not pressing that hard on the eraser, and I can still see them, you know. And once I have that, I just go over the lines a little bit, and I'm looking at the reference as I go, and just making sure that I'm adding the right lines, you know, adding the right details, taking off some of the lines that are not supposed to be there, and just overall making my final outline a little bit better. So I also make all the changes that I need to make. For example, like I said before, the right ear was a little bit higher. I changed that, I made it a little bit lower, but it's still the same as the sketch. Just I followed the sketch the same, but just made small changes to make it a little bit more better. Another thing that I made, like I said earlier, was the hair on her left ear, like the one that's sticking out. I made it the same thickness or close enough to the one on her right ear. So that's another thing that I did change. Another thing was the stick a little bit. I changed the form of the stick. I added a little bit more detail, and basically that's it, guys. So I did end up outlining my drawing with the marker, and then I just used my Copics to color Braixen, and it just completely made the drawing like come alive. So I used like two different reds, darker red for like the shadows, and then my regular red. I used the same reds for the fire and her tail. So right here you guys see me adding a gold for the shadows on her body, and then just using a regular yellow for the rest. And then for the white areas, for example under like her arm, the fluffs on her shoulder, I used the lightest gray that I had and just added like a little bit of a shadow. And I'm looking at the reference, guys, to all the like areas with shadows and stuff like that. You guys could add any, like, you know, sometimes adding more detail just makes the drawing even better. So if you guys, there's some areas that you guys want to add more shadows just to make it a little bit more better, then go ahead. For this one, I just followed the reference that I have up there, and overall I think it came out pretty good, guys. Like, I like it. Like I said, I used the gold for the shadows on the body, on the yellow areas, and then I just used the regular yellow. Another thing that I noticed, oh yeah, another change that I made, if you guys notice right there in her forehead, like where the yellow, basically the yellow where it starts on her nose and then it reaches the top, right? So there's no line right there. On the video I did like a really light line, but if you guys look at the reference, it doesn't have a line right there. The only reason I did that line is just to get a better idea once I colored that part. And another thing that I mentioned earlier was her brow, that her brow, like where it curves up, it follows that line. So if you guys look at it now, I actually fixed it and I extended the top line of her like brow so it can meet up with the yellow part, and then it just follows. And I hit the mic again, I'm sorry, making hand gestures. Hopefully you guys know what I mean, guys. If not, you guys could do better, eyes, you know. Hopefully you guys could do better than I can. Another thing that I changed, like I said earlier, was the nose. I made it a little bit smaller, and I made the what's called the hairs on the side of her cheeks the same, and a little bit longer on the left side. When I was doing my sketch, it was a little bit shorter, so I extended them a little bit, and I basically got them a little bit pointier. But overall, guys, I'm happy with it. I think it came out great. I had a fun drawing Braixen. It's actually the first time I ended up drawing this Pokemon, and I enjoyed it, you know. So yeah, guys, so I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys ended up drawing Braixen, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know how he or she turned out. And if you guys need any help, you guys could always leave a comment, and myself or anybody could give you any tips on any help that you might need. So yeah guys, leave a like if you did draw Braixen, and remember that you guys could always send in your Pokemon drawings to be featured at the beginning of my videos, just like you saw the ones on this video. The links will be in the description, and I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Team Rocket Draws out.